news with Gina.
The news with Gina Grad.
Well, I can't believe how little coronavirus news we have. Suddenly, it's like we walked off one of those walking escalators at the airport. Switching gears, of course, again, just to give an overview, because I know we're all pretty sick of hearing the same stats over and over again. At least 40 cities in D.C. Had imposed curfews Sunday night in response to violent protests across the country over the weekend. Additionally, as of Sunday, approximately 5,000 National Guard members activated in 15 states. We were one of them here in LA, also Washington, D.C., another 2,000 prepared to activate if needed. Arizona, the governor said the emergency declaration, which they activated emergency and disaster relief, will allow police to be equipped to make arrests of individuals who are planning to riot, loot, or cause damage or unrest. Texas, it allows the federal agents to serve as peace officers. Virginia, it allows the mobilization of resources, including the National Guard. Meanwhile, the city of Chicago closed the central business district, kind of like we just heard about in Palm Springs. That's the Loop area, to only employees whose businesses are located in the business and residents who literally live there can't get in or out. Otherwise, major highways closed in Minnesota just to sort of prepare. And we talked about this a bit, but the looting moved on. We were dealing with downtown Los Angeles here in LA and the Melrose area. Well, Sunday night, it turned to Santa Monica and Long Beach, hit pretty extensively. Santa Monica, looters spent hours at the upscale business district, stealing stuff, setting fires. Long Beach, an outlet mall and some downtown shops were hit. And this was in the news as protesters screamed at the looters and begged them to stop, which we've been hearing a lot of. Hundreds arrested. In response to the protest across the nation, our LA County Sheriff, Alex Villanueva, announced this countywide curfew, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. But of course, the looting went long into the evening. I personally haven't heard of any weekday curfews yet, but you never know, and you're going to get a little alert on your phone. And in terms of...
I got to say, I'm a little tired of all the alerts on the phone. Like, I was trying to talk to Matt on the ride in the other day, and the alert, constantly getting those fucking Amber alerts all the time, which, again, it's fine, but most of the time I'm sitting in my den watching Sports Center. I don't jump up and yell, gas up the rig, and I start strapping on a helmet and flak jacket. I'm going to bring this perp down. And also... This is a dad who got into a shitty custody battle with his ex, and now he's kept his 9-year-old for 2 days longer than he should have. That's between them. I don't need the alert. We don't need to be fucking deputized.
And unless you're on the 5 near Brea, these don't affect you. They're nice.
It'd be nice if we geo-targeted a little bit. Yeah. We're getting alerts for, the aforementioned Pacoima. God knows where the fuck ever it is.
Well, and also, it always reminded me of the of the traffic reports. Like, well, in Upton, near the Slauson cutoff, there's construction. It's like, what percentage of people are driving their car or heading for the Slauson cutoff in Upton? What percentage? It can't be 1%. What percentage are even in their car? Why are we so specific with this? This is the parsley by the side of the plate. Nothing ever. I sit home and listen to the radio. They're still giving traffic updates. There is no traffic.
You took the very ugly Upland and replaced it with the much more attractive Upton.
Upton. Oh yeah, Upland.
Kate Upton.
Sorry. Yeah, Kate Upland. Yeah.
It's a global.
Sorry.
They don't know.
You're right.
So speaking of retail shops, a lot of people are going, you know what? We better get out in front of this. So Target, CVS, Apple and Walmart all temporarily and quickly adjusted their hours. And those, I don't know if we got an alert for that, but I got a news notification about Target first. In some places, their stores have been burned, looted, turned very violent. Amazon even said Sunday, amid the curfew, it adjusted its routes and suspended deliveries to keep drivers safe in cities like LA, Chicago, Seattle, Minneapolis. So if you paid for Prime and didn't get your package last last night. That's why. But again, I knew, and I think we all knew leading up to a Friday and Saturday, all hell was going to break loose. I really don't know what to expect during the weekday. Do you guys have a prediction for the week?
I'm trying to kind of figure out how many of these people that are hitting the streets and looting or being violent or doing whatever live with their parents or a parent. Like, how many is it possible that there's a mom and a dad and then this young person is leaving to go join the group and vandalize and loot and set fires? I mean, that number must be ridiculously low, right?
Sounds far-fetched. Yeah.
And how are you going to bring all that shit home without anyone noticing?
And then what percentage of them had a mom and a dad and then moved out 3 years ago to go to college or to get a job or have a roommate? Like, I just would love to get statistics on intact families, looters, violence, and graffiti and starting fires. I think there's a direct correlation. I feel like the dads are the disciplinarians. The dads are gone. There's no more discipline. And now the discipline is kind of left up to the cops and the school teachers and the security guards. They have become the disciplinarians. And the problem with that is if the dads are doing it at home and it starts from the time you come home from the hospital and the dad is disciplining you along the way, then obviously when you become an adult, you don't need the cops and the security guards and the school teachers to discipline you. If, in fact, the cops and the school teachers are disciplining you and the security guards, it's always going to have a horrible outcome. That discipline from the outside, what your dad and mom, but what your dad really can do with the timeouts or the you've lost the use of your cell phone for 3 days because all that stuff, like from the inside out, works pretty good. And then you become 19 and you enter society and you have a pretty good relationship with discipline. Like you've kind of been authority. You've been kind of calibrated. If you have no calibration, then the security guy pulls out the pepper spray and then you yell, "You're not the boss of me." And the next thing you know, you guys are rolling around on the ground and the outcome is always going to be bad.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Thank you.
So just also in terms of protective, doing things in advance for the protection of others, Secret Service agents rushed Trump to the White House bunker Friday night when protests became very crazy in D.C.
Olympus has fallen.
Yeah, Trump spent nearly an hour in the bunker, which is designed for emergency use like terrorist attacks. That was from a Republican source close to the White House, definitely not able to speak on record. Not immediately clear if the First Lady and Barron were with him, but Secret Service protocol would have said that, whoever's under the roof and with the family should go to the, underground shelter.
Jeff is having some technical difficulties, so he's fallen off, but that's all right because we don't have much more show to go. But I was thinking about it. I wonder if Trump gets good cell connections, good cell service from the bunker, and then maybe if he isn't able to tweet from the bunker, then maybe
it's a win for us all.
Yes, maybe. But I'm picturing one of his aides like looking out the window in 6 months going, looks like there's a storm brewing out there, Chief.
Keep you safe, Mr. President.
Just to be safe.
That's the gardener, is it? You don't know what disguises these people show up in.
They're very clever, sir. They're very clever.
Let's let discretion be the better part of valor. Let's go down into the bunker. I can't tweet in the bunker. Well, it's all right. You'll make up for it when we let you out.
Yeah, compose some drafts.
We'll bring you some food. What do you like? Yeah. To the bunker.
Like taco bowls. Yeah, that's great. Well, he wasn't in there long because he did tweet very soon after that he does blame Antifa for all this and has now designated it a terrorist organization, according to one of his tweets. So Antifa, short for anti-fascist, is named loosely for affiliated with this left-leaning anti-racist group that have been involved in some violent clashes over the years. The movement has no unified structure, no national leadership. Trump has railed against the left-wing agitators and other times in the presidency, referring to them as the alt-left in 2017, following the violent confrontation between white nationalists and counter-protesters in Virginia. So they're now on the terrorist group, but we know there's very good people on both sides. So we'll see what happens.
What does the terrorist group designation get us? Does it mean the FBI?
That's a good question.
I think what it does is it opens up what the FBI and the CIA folks, law enforcement, can do. So if you take the Crips or the Bloods, it's kind of up to the police to deal with the Crips and the Bloods. But if you designate them a terrorist group, then you can get the feds involved or others involved, and you can start, I don't know, wiretapping their phones and things like that. I think there's something to that. I think it opens up the parameters, in other words, that the law enforcement and federal law enforcement can use, the tools they can use, because now your terrorist group, we can tap your phone, I think.
Right. And maybe more to do with the Department of Justice now instead of just your local law enforcement. Yeah.
Right.
I'm just
Do we have, is all our curfews and stuff in place for here?
I haven't gotten any alerts, but I just saw
alerts yet.
Long Beach scheduled for 4 p.m. and then 1 p.m. for businesses.
Jeez.
4 p.m.
4 p.m.
4 p.m. for
play some board games.
I know.
So I was driving like a bat out of hell. So I don't know if you discussed this with Mark Garrigus yesterday or not, or the other day, but NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell being accused of hypocrisy and insincerity in his response to the death of George Floyd and the protests that followed. Now, every big business on Instagram, Twitter, everybody's putting up a statement now, every big business, many big businesses. And critics pointed to the league's handling of Colin Kaepernick and his protest against police brutality in 2016, saying Goodell and the league had deliberately stifled Kaepernick, and they really don't have a right to appear to be siding with protesters or anything right now.
I do love the idea that everyone has to weigh in, like, hey, weather tech, let me get your take on this horrible, senseless killing. Well, we who manufacture plastic rugs for your automobile and cup holders feel that our number one priority is, like, everybody has to just fucking weigh in now.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So what he said, just part of what he said, the NFL family is greatly saddened by the tragic events across the country. Oh, now it's up on my screen. 1 second. The protesters' reaction to these incidents reflect the pain, anger, and frustration that so many of us feel. Deepest condolences to Mr. George Floyd, to Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor. As current events dramatically underscore, there remains much more to do in our country and as a league, blah, blah, blah. People like Ava DuVernay, who's a director, Michael Sean Duggar, who writes for The Atlantic, they're just like, are you kidding me? Colin Kaepernick asked the NFL to care about the lives of Black people. They banned him from their platforms. This is disingenuous. This is insincere. So they could have sat this one out probably.
You know, once they're going to have to get a Black commissioner, right? At some point.
It's kind of shocking they haven't, yeah.
Right. And then the problem for Whitey is once you get a Black commissioner or you get a Black police chief or whatever, you can't go back. You can go back to Black. You can't go back to honky. Like, once you get the Black person in that position, then it becomes weird and political if the redhead guy takes his place. So I understand, NFL, you should have a Black commissioner, but once you do, there's no
turning back.
No going back. Or you can get a chick. You might be able to get a white chick in there next. I don't think you can get another guy that looks like Goodell. All right. Yeah, this is they do more harm than good, right? Like, shouldn't they just kind of no comment, just not put stuff out? Just, I don't know. Were you guys wondering, like, what's the NFL's take on this? Like,
no. And that's that old adage, it's better to keep your mouth shut and people think you're dumb than to open your mouth and confirm it. Well, this is not the hill for him to die on.
Well, look no further than, what is the shit? What's the James
Brolin Woods.
No, a young actor got Me Too'd. James
Franco.
Oh, Franco.
All right, James Franco. The reason we don't hear his name anymore is because he put like a Me Too pin on his lapel and went like down the red carpet. And I don't know, Rose McGowan saw it and went, "You're wearing a fucking Me Too pin? You fucked tons of chicks or whatever in your acting class." So he put the pin on. Then they went, "Why are you wearing that pin?" And then they ruined his career, essentially. But what I'm saying is you make the statement, you put the pin on, you've opened the door. Leave the fucking pin at home. Don't make the statement. And it's not like anyone's watching the red carpet at the Oscars and sees James walking down the carpet and goes, "Where's his pin?"
Yeah, exactly.
Now, that's the new world order. Like, it's like, it kind of reminds me of like, we're in this kind of frenzy and this mad mob, and your job is just blend in with that mob. Don't stand up on an apple crate and start preaching. You're going to get hit with a can of paint.
Yes, you remind the bad mob reminds me. It was Mike Pence who tweeted. Obviously, we always stand with. We'll always stand for the right of Americans to peacefully protest and let their voices be heard. And the mob obviously jumped all over him, like, "Motherfucker, you could this whole fucking stunt where you went to an Indianapolis Colts game, Colin Kaepernick kneeled, and you left before the game, like this whole pre-planned stunt. Like, you obviously don't support the rights of people to peacefully protest. So just fucking sit this one out."
No comment. Yeah, exactly right.
Just sit it out.
Exactly right.
Well, here's something that did not get a lot of press because we've been a little sidetracked, but normally this would be headline news just because somebody actually got it on camera.
Brian, to be fair, he did watch the kickoff, announced it was a blowout while the ball was in the air, and left. So that's his argument. I don't know that
Brian's
much.
showing his bias.
I don't know enough about football. I can't climb into the man's head.
No, that's what I get for following too many, people on one side. I gotta start
open it up.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
So actor Denzel Washington now being hailed as a good Samaritan after he came to the aid of a distressed man in LA the other day. So somebody shot this video last week and posted it to Twitter. You see Washington, well, you don't see this part, but Washington pulled over his car to help this guy who was at risk of getting run over, basically, while standing in the middle of a busy intersection. He then intervened when the cop showed up, tried to prevent the situation from escalating between the guy and the police. He's standing there with them. They're handcuffing the guy, but without incident. Then we're watching a bit of the clip right now. I believe they end up taking the handcuffs off him. Denzel gives him a mask to wear. He buys him a meal, and everybody goes about their way. Basically, he was just this sort of random hero, and even the sergeant appreciated it. Here's a clip of him recapping the situation.
Hi, officer. Can you tell me what just happened? Because we saw that Denzel Washington was here with what appeared to be a homeless guy.
Yes, sir. Denzel, I guess, drove by, saw the individual on the road, and was worried about his safety. Denzel pulled over, got the individual out the road, and then officers were called by another person that was driving by that saw Denzel. We intervened, spoke with the individual, and determined that he did not want to harm himself or others. And he was on his way, and Denzel left. Denzel provided him a mask to protect himself from the environment.
All right.
Oh, there's a little more, but yeah, he gave him a meal, and they said, he's a good Samaritan. It was a nice moment.
I'm surprised, like Brian always says, that there's not a whole bunch of people named Denzel. There should be a bevy of 22-year-old black men named Denzel.
A beloved actor, controversy-free as far as I can tell, and universally admired on all sides of the color spectrum.
Speaking of that, especially having a 4-year-old now, with like littler kids that, that in the last, say, 4 or 5 years, no little Baracks to be found. Yeah,
it's weird. I guess in a way, maybe they're like, we're going to make up our own name. We're not going with the stuff off the shelf. We're going bespoke. Like if you
sure,
we're going with a name that's never been uttered by a human being ever again. Or because if you think about it, maybe you go, all right, if you're in the black community, maybe you go, we'll go with James, or we'll go with Kevin or Nicholas or something like that, or what have you. But then you go, and that group's going to go with a traditional name. But if you're going to go non-traditional name, then maybe you make up your own name. See, Whitey, we don't have that luxury. We either go traditional name or non-traditional name, but bespoke name, I'm making up my own name, doesn't exist.
We basically go traditional or noun.
Right. But we can't. Yeah, we could do the Dakotas or the Jerseys or Sage
Apple.
Or something like that. But it has to exist. We can't make it out of whole cloth. All right, let's do one.
It has to be found in nature.
One more. I should write my next book should be called Rules for Whitey.
Oh, that's good.
Boy's name.
Look at that.
Popularity. Denzel, boy's name, popularity.
Oh, it spiked in 93, but look how low it is, like starting in 2000. This is one of our finest actors of our generation.
Did he get nominated in 93 or 92?
No, 1990 is when Glory came out.
Okay.
And he became really super famous pretty quickly.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. I mean, look at all the folks who named their kid after John Wayne.
I have a friend named after John Wayne.
Is his name Duke?
First name John, middle name Wayne.
Wow.
His dad was a real shit kicker, and he liked John Wayne and his son John Wayne.
I was making a joke, but okay. I was thinking about John Kimmel.
John Wayne Chapman.
All right. He's going to shoot the president, isn't he?
I was just going to say, that sounds like a murderer's name.
No.
Well, the day is young. All right. One more, Gina Grad.
All right. So some people still take social distancing seriously. They might not be in this country, but sex in your house with someone from outside of your house is literally now illegal in the UK. The government is introducing new lockdown measures in England that prevent people from socializing with one person from outside of their household in a private space. So up until now, the person visiting your house for sex would have been a breach of measures. But now both people would technically be able to be prosecuted under the law with amendment regulations being introduced in Parliament. For those couples looking for a little workaround, having sex in public, already illegal. And Downing Street today, they insisted police would show discretion and common sense, but they are calling this a serious crime.
The disgraced guy who came up with all the modelers for all the models.
They're Fauci.
Mad cow disease and how millions of people were going to be ravaged in the global pandemic and body counts and stuff, who turned out to be more than 100% wrong, if that's possible. He was way wrong. That guy got busted for having sex with his girlfriend inside his house.
Yep.
I don't know. Again, with all whatever rioting is going on and all this, isn't it kind of time to lift these things?
Feels like a violation of civil rights. Also, like I've heard anecdotally from like people who've worked in prisons, like security guards and whatever. Like, we actually kind of tacitly encourage the inmates to smoke marijuana because it keeps them calm. They don't fight. They don't, blah blah blah. And it's like, I can see that.
That was one of the best and only arguments I ever heard for conjugal visits. I'm like, these guys are locked up. Why are they having sex? What's with the conjugal visits? And the guy said it calms them down. And I was like,
carrot at the end of the stick.
Right.
You're good for a month.
Yeah. Don't start a race riot on the handball courts and you get to fuck your old lady in 3 weeks. And I was like, oh, okay. Now that makes sense. Yeah, I get it. All right. Let's bring it home, Gina Grad.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina Grad. That was the news with Gina Grad.